good, my people? It's the last Messiah, man, coming back again for another episode of destroying the literal interpretations of the Bible. Now, what I mean by destroying the literal interpretation is y'all just wouldn't believe how many millions of people it is walking around that actually still take Bible stories at face value. Like everything that happened in these stories were literal occurrences. But after this video, hopefully, I can shed some light on y'all, you know what I mean? Bring y'all to y'all common sense just a little bit. Now, okay, we're going to start off with the Adam and Eve scenario. Now, Adam and Eve, man, woman. But now, over the years, history and even churches have agreed that Adam and Eve couldn't necessarily be literal people because there's too many variations of races that would have to come from these two people. Then you would take an account of the flood, and then the world had to be repopulated again, and the same gene variations and mutations that would supposedly have occurred from Adam and Eve to create all the different races would have to happen again the same exact way. And we all know that shit like that doesn't happen. But we're going to stick to the topic. Adam and Eve have two children. One kills the other. Some type of way, it's more people in the world. You know what I mean? Because God has to protect them. You know what I mean? Because if he goes out there, the other people will see him and know what he's done. So God has to put a mark on him from these other people. Where did they come from? But that's just a small tip of the iceberg. Let's get to the original sin and why the original sin literally wouldn't make sense. Okay, the serpent is supposed to be Satan. Let's say it wasn't a real snake. Let's say it wasn't a real serpent, a snake, or reptile, or whatever you want to call it. But we're going to assume it was the snake because I'll get into that. Okay. The snake beguiles Eve. She eats the fruit. Take it back to her husband. God finds out. They both become cursed. He comes down, cursed the snake. Also, puts the snake on his belly. Now I have to ask you people, if God, this all-knowing, perfect being, knows that a demon or a devil manipulated his shape and altered his appearance, or however, and persuaded this woman to eat this fruit, why would God literally curse all snake kind? Can you be punished for someone pretending to be you and going and committing a crime when the real culprit has been found out? Do you still get punished? Okay, I thought not. Now, we are told by Eve eating this fruit, though, is that this is how the original sin came into the world. But, as most clergy will agree, that Adam and Eve are representations of people, as Adam represents men or males, and Eve represents womankind, females. See what I'm saying? So now, if these are representations of groups of people, how could a whole group of a woman eat one apple? Literally, how can this happen? Okay, now, so if we taking this as Adam and Eve is not real, literal people, this is a domino effect. Now, is what is finna happen with this Jesus character. Now, Jesus comes all along, and he's supposed to die on the cross to save the world from sin. But I have some questions about certain passages, even with Jesus' death. Like, how could he be crucified on a Friday, right after the Passover? I mean, right before the Passover, my bad. But yeah, it was a Passover right after that of the Last Supper was a Passover. So they can't try to push the day back and make it a high Sabbath sacrifice to try to combat us telling you that it wasn't a 3 days. You know what I mean? Because Jesus said that In 3 days and 3 nights, so shall the Son of Man be in the heart of the earth. So he dies, gets crucified Friday, maybe afternoon sometime. The date's different depending on which gospel. But he gets crucified on a Friday. Early Sunday morning, before the sun even rises, they go to the tomb. This nigga's gone. So he doesn't even stay in the ground for the 3 days, or the third day that he's supposed to. You see what I'm saying? So they don't even have their story, the days added up. But it was so much of a mantra of the third day divine savior shit from Greek mythology that they had to use that. You see what I'm saying? But anyway, as I was just saying, family, there's no way that someone can literally die to save you from sin. Tells you God sent his only begotten son. So is God the one sending the sacrifice? I thought when a person sends a sacrifice, it had to be a human person sending the sin to the God. If God is sending Jesus as a sacrifice, that means he sent the sacrifice to himself. And this shit is retarded. Anyway, bro. It even says in Matthew 27:52, verse 53, that the people, the prophets that were dead, arose, came out of their tombs, and went into the holy city and appeared unto many. This shit is nowhere in historical records, nowhere, ever, outside of the scriptures. Only place you will find a story like that is in the scriptures. Because, like I say, this shit is historical myth. You feel me? These are mythical stories that were crafted to control the masses. But y'all don't hear me though. You know what I'm saying? But it's a domino effect, man. No Adam and Eve, no Jesus. 100.